All right, welcome to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host Brian Parker, along with my co-host Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
All good, brother. What's up with you?
Man, I can smell it. I
It's
can
close, ain't it? It's
smell
close.
the football. I got a draft tomorrow. I got another one on Sunday. There's supposedly a sandstorm coming to Bank of America Stadium on Saturday. I'll have to watch it from New York, but I just can't wait for South Carolina to have to take down those billboards when North Carolina runs all up in that Gamecock booty.
They
Um,
better. They better. That's all I
yeah,
can
I hope so because I'm tired of seeing them billboards.
say.
We're talking about there's a sandstorm coming to Charlotte 9-2. Yeah, I hope it is.
A
Yeah, I
little
hope.
dust
Yeah.
up.
Everybody, thank you for joining us live. We are streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So please go to Empower TV Network on YouTube. Click the bell. It'll let you know every time that we add new content or when we go live. We are also streaming live and direct on Amazon Fire TV as well as Roku TV under the Empower TV Network. Please check us out on all the platforms. But most importantly, share and subscribe on YouTube. We definitely can use that for the algorithms. But yeah, I am definitely pumped. Football is right here, and I need something to feel good about because my Yankees ain't doing it for me. So, um, yeah,
Man, I am so fortunate to have gone to a game where we actually won.
right. Now you get
And
to
we actually
realize
scored
how
some
rare that
runs.
was.
And it was against my hated Astros. So I had a ball, man.
I remember when my brother came up a couple years ago, and I took him to the Yankees Red Sox game, and he was just like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And then we actually had the good fortune of winning that day because we were losing for the longest part of the game till Aaron Judge and I think Giancarlo, somebody else, hit a homer, and then we took the lead and then held on all the way through. But yeah, it wasn't in the bag by any stretch of the imagination, but we ended up pulling it out. So he got to see a epic Yankees Red Sox game when he came to New York. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I took the whole fam, and as soon as I sat down, Juan Carlos Stanton went yard. We
Yeah.
jumped up immediately and
Wow.
held on to the lead the whole time. But that's one of the few things that Juan Carlos has done good this year.
Right. Jermaine Parker says it was, and it was cold in April. Bro, yeah, New York, that's why when they have opening weekend and it's like March 27th through April the 5th, I mean, as much as I want to go to opening day weekends when I lived in New York, I did that one time. I actually went to a Mets opening weekend because my wife wanted to go see the Mets. And I said, okay, we'll go see it. Man, by the time the seventh inning came, I couldn't take it anymore. I'd already had like 4 cups of hot chocolate, didn't even want to drink my beer because it was so cold. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, look, it's the Mets. They're gonna lose. Let's just go ahead and go. And they did lose. They did. But it was just crazy. Opening weekend in New York, nuts. Um, Maybe wait until the third weekend of April, and it's still going to be a little chilly, especially if it's one of those evening games. But it's a lot more bearable. If you go during the day, oh god, you're gonna freeze your tail off. It's crazy. It's
Man, I will tell you, you just made me remember when I went to my first Steelers game. We went in, I believe, October up in Pittsburgh. And not only was it freaking freezing, it rained on us as well.
oh god,
So me and the wifey at that time were sitting in the stands just doing anything we could to get warm.
right.
Putting clothes, coats on, toboggans, whole nine, hand warmers, coffee after coffee. And they were natives walking around with nothing but a Steeler jersey.
Right. I've
Crazy,
I've seen that, and I'm just going.
crazy.
Wait a minute. I mean, how long have you been up here for your blood to be that thick?
I'm telling you, man, that was wild.
Dwayne Parker, anything, what? Anything. Oh, I get it. He said y'all were doing anything to stay warm. Jermaine, it's not New York. Now, if you said in New York, that actually means that people may have actually been humping and stuff up there, but I don't think they do that in Pittsburgh like that, Jay.
Oh, nah, man, way too cold for that.
Doesn't say anything.
That was a mere afterthought for real.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, we're gonna get cracking into the NFL. We've literally got 8 days before the opening Thursday night game between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. We've got two shows between then. I've got to figure out how to get next Wednesday's show in because I'll be in New York and we'll be on the road. But I'm actually thinking about just stopping somewhere like a hotel or something that Wednesday night and doing the show from there and then coming on down. I got to figure it out, but somehow I got to get the show in.
Yeah,
But
brother, we got to get that one in, man. We got
yeah,
to get that one in.
that one's going to be the South show. This is the North show. So that'll be the South show plus our end of year predictions. So we'll
Yeah.
definitely get that. Today we're going to do the NFC North and the AFC North, breaking down the divisions. This is a hectic week in the NFL because there's no preseason games this week because it's cut time. 3 games have been played. Roster moves are being made. Teams are having to dwindle down to their final numbers and things like that. There's been signings, there's been extensions, all kinds of things. Justin Herbert just got paid, so that's great.
What,
Uh,
Herbert got paid?
from what I can tell, it looks like Herbert just inked a $62 million deal.
Wow,
Say
nice.
5 years, 262, average 52 million, signing bonus 16 million, guaranteed at signing 133 million, and practical guaranteed is basically 218 million out of the 262, which put him 2 million 500,000 more than what Lamar Jackson just got.
Okay,
So
okay.
that'll keep him with the team all the way through 2030. So he's good. So he's good. Lamar's good. Josh Allen signed his in 2021. Jalen Hurts signed his in 2023. And yep. So we're good with quarterbacks for right now. Even the next one actually is going to come up, which is funny, is Prescott's coming up again in 2025. Um, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I was looking at contracts and extensions, and I saw that I'd heard something on NFL radio yesterday. Didn't get a chance to look at it. When I pulled it up today, it said Herbert was extended. I believe it was yesterday, um, but he's extended 2023 through 2029, 5 years, 262 million.
Wow. I wonder how much Dak's gonna get paid when he negotiates that CFL deal.
The CFL deal.
Yeah,
Because Trey Lansing coming to get his job.
yeah. Dak's gonna help. He'll be headed to Canada at that time.
Well, you know what's funny though. As much as I agree, as much as black as he's getting, now when you look at it, he's like tied for ninth as far as paid quarterbacks, and maybe you wouldn't rank him ninth, but he's tied with Stafford and Daniel Jones in salary. So you can call it ninth, or you can say it's 10, 11, 12. Derek Carr's only $10 million less at 150. Dak is kind of at a steal at $160 million, which
Yeah,
sounds crazy when Herbert just signed a deal that's worth another $102 million more than his.
yeah. I pick on Dak, just picking. I mean, he's a decent quarterback. You know, he has not got it done in the playoffs, obviously. But if you ask me, that move by taking old boy from the Niners was definitely done to put some heat on Dak Prescott. He better
Yeah.
get it done this year in
Well,
the
and,
playoffs.
and he's not getting any younger, right? I mean, you look
No,
at the lifespan of a quarterback and the days of Brady's and Breezes and Peyton Manning's lasting 17, 18, 20 years. If you can get that out of a quarterback, that's really good. Aaron Rodgers probably killed Jordan Love's career because he just kept staying on. We'll see. We'll see how Jordan Love, and we'll talk about him in a little bit too. But when you have those players that are just there forever and ever and ever, the guy behind them, just doesn't grow. So But you kind of have to, as a franchise, you can't just wait until the guy falls off, because we've seen quarterbacks ran where one year they're just setting it on fire, and then the next year it looks like they just fell off completely. Um,
Yeah.
and you see the decline cliff sometimes goes really fast, and if you don't have that backup plan in place, that can really derail your team. And now teams are wising up to the fact that, hey, if you really want to build a good team, take advantage of these quarterbacks on their rookie deals where you're only having to pay them by the rookie scale. Try to get it in then, because when it's time for that payday, they absorb so much of that salary cap. Now you can't keep all of your team together because you can't afford to, because of the cap.
Which means you got to draft your quarterback, man. Carolina found that out the hard way, trying to
Yeah.
piece quarterbacks together. Bridgewater, Darnold, Baker Mayfield, none of that crap worked.
Sorry, I got
They've
PTSD.
drafted their quarterback now, so I'm hoping they're on the right track. I hope we got another Cam, where we got very good years out of a rookie deal from Cam.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
That is how that's the formula now, especially with today's salary cap. It's not going to go back. And guys, you got to remember, yes, the NFL, the contracts keep growing, the revenues keep growing, but as the revenues grow, they pay these quarterbacks more and more and more. $52 million a year is an average. Think about it this way: Patrick Mahomes' team-friendly average, because it's a 10-year deal, averages out to $45 million.
Yeah.
And you got Dak in at 60. You've got Herbert in at 52. You've got Lamar in at 52. You got Josh Allen in at a 43 average. So these averages are only going to keep going up.
Yeah, you got $225 million per team. They got 53 people to divide that up against. It's hard math, man. Hard math.
And so 223, and you take 50 to 60 off the table just for the quarterback. And then you got to divide the other stuff up between the remaining players. Then you got to have extra because there's certain hits that you can take when a player's on the PUP list. They count towards the cap. So all those kind of things still count to the cap when you have to go and then re-sign a free agent or something like that. What is Deshaun Watson's? Hey, Joe Lowry. Deshaun Watson is good through 2027. He's he signed Mr. Masagi signed a 5-year, $230 million contract. So he has a 46 million average, which it's not as average that's bad. It's the guarantee. Everybody else's guarantee is a portion of the entire salary. So when you look at most guys' contracts, you really, even though it's a 5-year, you're really looking at the first 3. After that, it becomes a point where if the guy's not performing or you need to move on, you can cut him without so much dead cap money hitting you. Deshaun, of course, as everybody knows, is a $230 million deal, but it's fully guaranteed, which is crazy. Even Kyler Murray getting $500,000 more than Deshaun Watson, it's almost 160 million guaranteed. Anthony,
everybody forgets how this story goes. Watson left Cleveland without a deal.
Right.
He was prepared to sign with the Atlanta Falcons. They were setting up a parade. Poor Falcons. Set up a parade. They did the same thing after they thought they were going to win the Super Bowl at halftime. But they set up a parade for him, homecoming parties because he's from there, a welcoming party. And he was on his way down to Atlanta to sign that deal. And then Cleveland called and says, you know what? We'll give you guaranteed money. Wait, hold up. Stop. What?
Because at first, Cleveland too cold. Not cold. But wait a minute.
Guaranteed money, but turn this plane around.
Say what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you cut him, it's all dead cap money. Whether it's the first year or the 5th year, that's all dead cap. Yeah, so I guess it pays to use your hands. I wonder which hand he signed a contract with. Anyway.
He don't have to use his hands. He hires people.
He hires people to use their hands on this contract. Anthony says, I think Patrick's 10-year deal will be reworked if he wins another ring. You had to pay him more. Actually, what they've done, Anthony, I think twice now, is they've redone his deal. In the fact that what they'll do, and that's why he made it such a team-friendly deal. He did a 10-year deal, originally $450 million, basically $45 million a year. And what they've done is that anytime they need to keep a player or sign another player, he'll convert some of his salary into a signing bonus so that it reduces their salary cap number on his salary.
Yeah,
That's why
man.
that's why he agreed to do that. He didn't want to leave Kansas City, so he's like, "Hey, just use my salary almost as a placeholder, and then anytime you need to then go in and re-sign other players and you need to pull more money in for multi-year deals, then just restructure my contract and make more and more of it signing bonus. So then it reduces the in-year salary. I believe you do pay a little bit on the back end as far as the cap hit. You're starting to make some of those other years a little bit more expensive. But I think at that point, if they move on from Patrick, they'll do some kind of buyout. If they don't move on from Patrick, they'll restructure a brand new deal and void out the remaining years of the current contract. So that's a lot
Mahomes
of
is
it.
a lot like Brady in the fact that he cares more about his legacy than he does
Right.
about money.
And he really does.
He
He's
does.
spoken about that so many times about the fact that his legacy means more to him than a salary. Because think about it, and it's easy to say that, right? When you got the salary and then you've got endorsements and things like that. You just saw where Aaron Rodgers' deal with State Farm is over. But Patrick Mahomes is still going strong, and he does all these other different commercials, whether it's that or Subway. So whether it's the on the field earnings or it's the endorsements that he gets, him and Brittany are going to be just fine. So I don't think he's hurting. And if him, taking a couple haircuts from his annual salary will mean them constantly hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, I can honestly say Patrick Mahomes is one of those dudes.
What happened with Baker's progressive commercials?
I don't know. It was his house, but I think it got foreclosed on. Anthony just said, "Does Baker still have the State Farm deal?" I've never seen Baker in a State Farm commercial.
It must have meant progressive.
Yeah, progressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, bro. That as soon because you got to remember, his house in the progressive commercials was in Cleveland, and now when he went back and he peeked through the gates, the only thing he could see is a bunch of tables there with hot towels and some and some soft music playing. So somebody took your house. That's pretty messed up. You come back to your house and somebody else living in it, and that's what happened to Baker. Deshaun
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, he was spread out with all them Instagram massage therapists. So yeah. Anyway, Mr. Massage, you gotta love it. Oh yeah, so that's where we're going with these salaries and quarterbacks that really want to stick on with their teams. I'd recommend, hey, Mahomes did it that way. You could probably do it that way, just so your team can get better and better and better. Plus, as a quarterback, if they're trying to get line help so that you can stay protected in the pocket and things like that, and they're asking you, hey, is there any way you can help us restructure this a little bit? And for the player, I mean, why wouldn't you want to do it, Rand? They take some of your salary that you would have gotten later, they turn it into a signing bonus, meaning that you get it now instead of later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So I get more money now instead of waiting till later. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not? So it's not a bad deal for the player. It actually hurts the team on the back end because you add more dead money to the back end of the contract. Where, like I said, at that point, you have to either avoid and renegotiate, or you just carry a lot of dead money on the back end. I think that kind of happened with Aaron Rodgers too. They just kept ballooning and ballooning and ballooning, and his salary got $60 million a year. And then the Jets had to take all of that because Green Bay was unwilling to take any of it.
Yeah. I remember us talking this time last year about Aaron Rodgers' contract being unmovable, but
right
where there was a will, there's a way.
Yeah, somebody will pay it.
Yep.
Somebody will pay it. I was like we had said about Deshaun Watson, ain't nobody gonna pay that man like that. Somebody paid him. But yeah, so let's get into our first L team we've got on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings out of the NFC North. And the depth chart it's funny. The depth chart goes like this: Kirk Cousins and his backup is Nick Mullins. So, as much as people talk about Kirk Cousins being a mediocre at best quarterback, he has lasted in Minnesota for quite some time, and nobody's been able to come in and dethrone him. Nor have the Vikings found somebody that really could push him out of the way. So, for everything that people say about Kirk Cousins, what's going on, Jeff Bird? What's going on, Ty Harris? But no one's been able to kick him out of the way. Anthony says Kirk Cousins will be in the race for MVP. Of what? I'm waiting for the laughing emojis behind that. maybe he got cut off and it's coming in a second. Yeah. There's like a 3-minute delay, but Kirk Cousins will be in the race for the MVP. Oh, Madden?
I don't see that, brother. I mean,
Madden, or what, did he automatically get a 99 on it? What the hell are you talking about?
I'm the first one to sit here and say that he gets a bad rap, the same as Dak kind of sometimes, but I'm not going as far as MVP status. No.
Yeah, he is Dak.
Yeah, he is. Just in a purple uniform.
He says no, Kirk Cousins will be top 5 in passing. No. No. Anthony, whatever you're having, I'm going to have it too. I need the edge off, and obviously you feel good. I mean, tell me why. Is it because of Justin Jefferson that you're making that claim? It have to be, because who else is he throwing to? I mean, he has Jordan Addison, okay, KJ Osborne, Malik Knowles, TJ Hawkinson in at tight end. Where are those yards coming from? You got Madison as your running back, 2 wide receivers and a tight end. Yeah, but most of the pressure is going to be on Justin Jefferson's side. There's no more Adam Thielen, and I know Thielen's getting long in the tooth, and wasn't necessarily Thielen was never to be the number 1. He was just a serviceable number 2 or number 3, which is what he's doing with Carolina this year. But you had to at least respect Thielen being on that side, where if you sat there and you double team Justin Jefferson, Thielen could still shake guys loose sometimes, and that could make you pay. We'll see if Bryce Young will be able to do that with him. It looks like they already have a pretty good chemistry going on in Carolina. But that's a lot of pressure on TJ Hawkinson to really start catching a lot of balls and stuff. I'm not completely sold on that. I actually feel like this is going to be one of those years where Minnesota takes a step back. They do have a base 3-4 defense. Their defenses have typically been pretty good in the past. Not sure how it's going to shake out this year, but I do know that, again, like I say on every show, when your offense puts you in a lot of 3 and outs, it can take any extraordinary defense and make them look very ordinary.
Yeah, Cousins could swing it a little bit. Got 4,500 passing yards last. A lot of that was Jefferson.
Absolutely.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. A lot of that was Justin Jefferson's side. He's probably the number 1 receiver in the league. They're thinking now that getting Jordan Addison is a perfect replacement for Adam Thielen, younger replacement. But he's a rookie, so we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out.
Hey, Rand,
thinking that Addison will take a lot of
not only that. Not only that, but Justin Jefferson did have 1,800 yards. Dalvin Cook had a lot of receiving yards too. So when you look at Dalvin Cook had 200 receiving yards. So that helped a lot.
They're going to miss his. I think they're going to miss that because Madison Madison is good between the tackles, but he's not that receiving threat that what's his
Dalvin
name
Cook.
was. So
Dalvin.
they're going to be missing that. They do have a good tight end in Hawkinson.
When you talk about when we talk about Kirk Cousins, yeah, it looks like a little bit of I went low. So what I just did was I took off a couple of windows in the background on my streaming computer to see if the stream will be better. No?
I'm not sure if you hear me, but you sound like a hollow astronaut.
Okay. Your audio is bad. Your sound is messed up, B. Okay.
Hopefully, we can get him back in just a second, man. That sounds your mic's off.
All right. What about now?
Oh man, thank you. I don't know what the heck that was.
Sorry about that, y'all. My little mixer was. I just had to reset the mixer for some reason.
Yeah,
But I sound better now.
Man, like I said, it sounded like you was lost in space, dude.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank y'all. Thank you everybody for letting me know on the thing. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just it doesn't let me know because it looked like it was still doing the exact same thing that it was doing before with the little with the equalizers and stuff. I didn't touch anything. I don't think so. But no. So anyway, what I was saying was about the whole Kirk Cousins thing. I think people are really underestimating the impact that Dalvin Cook had on the team, and his impact on the passing game. Because a lot of times, y'all got to remember, there was a lot of times when Kirk Cousins would throw him a screen out of the backfield, and he'd take it to the house. So a lot of that was part of their offense. Madison can do some things, but he is definitely not a poor man's Dalvin Cook or Dalvin Cook himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will see about the Minnesota Vikings. Let's jump ahead to another team in the NFC North, and that would be the Chicago Bears. And again, this is another situation where I don't really see anybody challenging the quarterback, Justin Fields. He has Tyson Baggett as his backup, and it looks like they're only going to carry two quarterbacks for the season, which is really dangerous because of the style of play that Justin Fields has. You're putting a lot uh, of pressure on the fact that you're going to be able to not only keep him upright but keep him healthy throughout the entire season.
It's a big year for this quarterback, man. They went out and they invested in getting DJ Moore. Well, I wouldn't say big investment, but they did give up their number one draft pick with Carolina in order to bring in DJ Moore because they were figuring, hey, um, Justin did not have weapons last year, so now we're going to get him weapons this year. So now he has a trio of wide receivers. DJ Moore, they got Chase Claypool, who they obtained from Pittsburgh via trade. They got the draft pick Darnell Mooney, so that's their big three that they're depending on to get the job done. He is in a similar boat as a old dude from the Eagles last year when they pretty much said, "Hey, we're going to surround you with weapons.
Right.
This is the only thing that's missing. You need to
Right.
go out and get the job done." And
Right.
he did. He carried the team all the way to the Super Bowl with his new weapons, with Chicago's receiving core. I'm not seeing that. I think they have them a little bit evaluated. Um, to me, DJ Moore is, you know, he's okay. I think he's a number one, but he's not a prime number one
Right.
like a lot of people say that he is. I mean, the guy struggles to get into the end zone. He catches a lot of passes on slant routes and stuff, and he's tough between the lines, but a dynamic threat that's going to run away from you and leave you behind on a bomb to the end zone. He's not that dude. And
Yeah.
you already know how I feel about Chase Claypool. I saw enough of him in Pittsburgh.
I knew you were going there.
Yep. Jump ball king. That's all he is. He ain't gonna beat you deep. He's not gonna separate. So yeah, man. I think they went and got the Bears some weapons, but those weapons are a little bit over valuated.
Yeah, I mean, and protection for Justin Fields, I'll believe it when I see it. He took 55 sacks last year. That is a lot for a quarterback. 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You gotta raise one and lower the other. Under 10 interceptions, and definitely raise your touchdowns into the mid 20s. He only threw for 2,200 yards. Yes, he also led the team in rushing with 1,100 yards. Some of those runs were designed, and some of them were, I better run because if I don't, I'm going to die. His running back, David Montgomery, last year was second with 800. He had 300 yards more than their starting running
Terrible, man.
back.
Terrible.
So, yes, line, you need to protect him so that he can withstand the pocket a lot more and not have to run out of necessity, but run by design. And especially with the fact that you don't have a serviceable backup to him, you need that more than ever, or that could easily derail your season. Easily.
No doubt. No doubt. The left tackle that they have is Braxton Jones. I've not really heard of Braxton Jones. Looks like he was a fifth rounder back in 2022.
Hmm.
That's not a prime left tackle in this league, man. So they
Uh,
could be having some trouble there.
Absolutely. That's what I'm worried about is that when you've got a mobile quarterback like that, the backup means everything. Maybe they'll go get Matt Corral, who was waived by the Carolina Panthers. I'm just kidding. Um,
They probably
but
will do that.
they need somebody. Hell, I hear Cooper Rush is looking for a job right now. So who knows? They need to get somebody that's actually taken a couple actual NFL game snaps. So if the inevitable does happen, mid-game injury, anything like that, and you need somebody to kind of start warming up and come in, you got somebody that isn't looking like a deer in headlights. Anthony said, didn't the Bears say that they're open to trading? You put money, but I'm assuming you mean Daryl Mooney. Um, I don't know why you would.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know why you do that either.
what would you
Uh,
get for it?
right.
And it's too late. He knows the system. Better or worse, you got DJ as your featured number one. Can Claypool be a adequate 2 or a 3? We'll see. Is a new environment, new scenery going to be what he needs to kind of get off of it a little bit? We'll see. You've got Cole Kmet there at tight end, so definitely some passes. You got Robert Tonyan as his backup, which is kind of weird. He just came over from the Packers, and then you've got Mercedes Lewis as well as a third tight end. So I kind of like your tight ends from the fact that they all have experience playing in the NFL. Cole Kmet definitely would be your number one tight end. Tunyon to me is more of a blocking tight end, but I know he
Yeah,
can't catch. Um,
yeah. Not worried about him beating you over the middle.
right. I mean, yeah, those are more safety valves that'll give you 4 or 5 yards when your hot reads break down and you need to be able to get rid of the ball, as opposed to running all the time or simply just trying to throw the ball out of harm's way and stuff like that. You may have some outlet valves with your tight ends that may help you when DJ Moore can't shake open. Claypool looks like he's lost out there, and Daryl Mooney's being covered up or tripping over himself. Your tight ends may prove to be your best deal. All right, Rand, moving on along. We're going to talk about these. Oh, Emily says, never mind, it was a rumor. Yeah, and it could have been something serious early on, Anthony, and then it just didn't materialize. But now, with the season a week away, not saying that teams won't try to make some late minute roster changes. I mean, hell, Carolina just traded with the Chiefs yesterday for a wide receiver. Don't know if you saw that one, Rand, but they just done that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, teams are still doing trades, or there's going to be a lot of players that are on the waiver wire that teams will pick up. Most of the time, the ones that they're picking up, these are either going to be practice squad players, or these are going to be special team players, where maybe you're the fifth running back or the sixth wide receiver or something like that, where they feel like maybe you can help solidify their special teams game, which is an important part. There were a lot of transactions yesterday. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 signings yesterday alone.
Yeah.
Of players that changed teams yesterday. So a lot of movement being done. And then there were some the day before that, most notably Trey Lance on there, Joshua Dobbs going to the Browns, where the Browns end up releasing Colt McCoy. I'm sorry. The Cardinals released Colt McCoy and took Joshua Dobbs, which surprised the heck out of me, knowing that Kyler Murray is starting the season out on the PUP list, unable to perform, which means he has to miss a minimum of 4 games. So you would think that they would kind of go with the guy that knows the system, been around the team, and the team knows him and everything else. But they bring in Joshua Dobbs as a more mobile quarterback. You think they're tanking already?
Absolute tank job, man. Absolute tank job. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
You just changed your starting quarterback.
You let go of the quarterback that knows your system as a backup and has been there for years,
and went through all of the OTAs,
right,
and the preseason with you,
right. And you're bringing in a career backup that knows nothing about the system, but you're going to throw him out there opening day in the next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
No sense, man.
Yeah, the tanking does make more sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anthony says, one cutting that had me lost of words was New England cutting both quarterbacks.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Wait, what?
They don't have a backup quarterback.
I mean, they got rid of Hoyer?
Yeah, they got rid of Zappy. Say they don't have a backup. The only quarterback on the roster as we stand today is Mac Jones. Bill knows more than all of us, so
yeah. So he says, yeah. How did that work out last year when you didn't have an offensive coordinator?
Right.
Now you don't have no damn quarterback. Wait a minute. Zappy's gone and Hoyer's gone.
Yeah, it's only Mac Jones. So I'm sure Mac is kicking his feet up, feeling pretty confident this morning.
Yeah, because whoever you bring in is not going to be a threat.
Nah, might be time to call Cam again.
I mean, it was just a couple of weeks ago that Belichick wouldn't even definitively name Mac Jones his starter.
Yeah, man.
And we knew that was smoke and mirrors, but it was just the fact that, hey, man, come on. I know you're just trying to keep the suspense and play with the media and own them a little bit, but everybody knows he's your guy. Just say it, And he refused to do it. He was like, well, everybody's out here competing. We don't want to give it to anybody on it. Come on, Bill, stop. You can say that with anybody else. This is your quarterback. This is supposed to be your franchise. You got him at 12. Come on, bro. But Oh my God! Yeah, I missed that one. I've been working today. I didn't see the one with the New England cutting both quarterbacks. That's just lunacy. Um, Sometimes I think he just does stuff thinking that if it works, he looks like a pure genius, and if it doesn't, it just doesn't. Robert Kraft gives him a long leash, but that makes
Yeah.
absolutely no sense. And no, you're not going to look like a genius for having one quarterback a week before the season begins. I don't know who the hell told you that was going to be a good idea, but no.
I mean, Jesus, what happens if he gets hurt, man? Even for a play or two, it's like then we running the wildcat.
You're gonna have to power left, power right. I mean, my God, Jesus Christ, that's just stupid. I'm sure they'll figure it out before next week. They'll bring somebody in that will have no reps, will have had no training camp, will not know the system, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. That just sounds like a disaster. Talking about tanking, I don't know. I don't know. That just sounds like that sounds like Romeo Crennel last year scoring a late touchdown so that Houston wouldn't get the number one pick. On the way out, throwing the middle finger on the way out the door. God. Well, your Green Bay Packers have Jordan Love in the helm now, finally, as the starting quarterback. Again, no threat. Sean Clifford is his backup. It looks like they're only carrying two quarterbacks on the active roster. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon return as the running backs. Christian Watson, Romeo Dowds, Jalen Reed are going to be the starting wide receivers with Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft in as the tight ends. Brand, we'll really get to see if Jordan Love, when you back up a guy that's been there for a long time, it's hard to be the next guy. Cam Newton found that out real quick, trying to be the one to come after Tom Brady. Um, uh, you know, um, Jameis Winston found that out, trying to be the guy coming after Drew Brees. Um, it's just not easy coming after a guy that had such an impact on an organization. How many quarterbacks have Indianapolis had since Andrew Luck? Looking for the next Andrew Luck and stuff like that. It started with Jacoby, and then they've had like five other guys since 2019 when Andrew Luck left. That's only been 4 years. Um, and it's just been a rotation every single year. They've had a new starting quarterback looking for the next Andrew Luck. Um, so will Jordan Love be able to get out of the shadow of Aaron Rodgers, number one, and be able to make a name for himself?
Yeah, I hope so. But I mean, like you said, we're definitely gonna find out here in a few days, man. He's not left with a shabs of a wide receiving core. I like Christian Watson.
I do too.
Yep, they invested in a second round pick in Jaden Reed. We'll see how he does.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he's not a slouch. They
Right.
also have Romeo Doubts, who's unproven, but also not supposed to be a slouch. The offense still looks okay. It looks like the protection is good. They got Runyon there at right guard. Also got the Aaron Jones back there to give the ball to, and AJ Dillon is a nice 1-2 punch. So I think they still can be serviceable offensively. They're not going to be dynamic like they were with Aaron there, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really going to come down to how much of the running game they can lean on. The good thing with their running game is both of those backs are capable catching the ball out of the backfield. So
Mhm.
to me, it's really, really going to come down to Matt LaFleur being able to come up with a comfortable game plan for his quarterback. Let him gain the confidence of getting the ball down the field in certain spurts, but leaning heavily on the tight end and the running backs to either be able to hand the ball off to or be able to get them out in open space and let them do their thing from that standpoint. And he can run a little bit too. So they may even come up with some design runs, but you got to be very careful with that again because you don't have a lot of experience at the backup position. Anthony says, I don't know if this is true, but the NFL said New England cut Bailey Zappi and Malik Cunningham, then signed them back to the practice squad. Man, Bill be doing some shady stuff.
Yeah, I can't see that happening, man. I think Zappy would take a another position backing up anybody in the league rather than just accept a role at the practice squad. I have
Yeah,
to research that one.
yeah, me too. Because it almost seems like if I were Zappy, I would just wait. If there was nobody calling me, I'd wait a week.
Absolutely, rather than sign a practice squad deal.
Yeah, let the phone ring. I mean, there's already about 100 and something players start. I mean, not 100, but a high number, over 50 players starting the season on pup.
Yeah,
So people are hurt. And again, remember, pup means you can't play for 4 games. You have to miss a minimum of 4 games. Doesn't mean you won't miss more, but you have to. Basically, the team is saying you're going to miss a quarter of the season off the bat.
yeah,
Uh, so normally, you wait the first week or two, keep training, keep staying in shape, and all those things. But I don't think you. I think if you're Bailey Zappi, you don't have to be a practice squad player. I think you can just simply wait until an opportunity presents itself, and then you can sign a better guaranteed contract than that.
yeah. Zappia started games in this league. I don't think he would.
Exactly.
Yeah, accept a
Exactly.
practice squad role.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, I get loving a certain team and everything, but I ain't loving them like that when I can.
No, hell no.
And if I'm not going to be the clear, defined starter, I mean, I just named a couple of teams already where I'm trying to figure out who this backup person is, whether it's with the Bears or whether it's with uh with the Vikings. I mean,
Yeah,
hell, you could be Kirk Cousins' backup. You could go be Justin Fields' backup. Um,
yep.
you can compete with those guys. So yeah, definitely see some better potential for him than that. So but Green Bay is going to struggle. I see them struggling if they don't maintain a lead ran. This is a team where I think they have to work with a lead. And the other thing with that too is for two reasons. If you lean on your running backs for a lot of your scoring, and they're also a huge part of your passing game, but they still catch the ball out of the backfield. When you're down a touchdown or two, are you really going to want to turn around and hand it off? Are you really going to want to throw a lot of screen passes and hope that you can make a guy miss and you can make 10, 15, 20-yard plays down the field? Or are you going to really start trying to throw laterally down the field and run the risk of throwing the ball in harm's way and getting it picked off?
Right.
Um, you're going to put a lot of pressure on your semi-young quarterback to then try to have to play some hero ball to get you out of deficits. This team is really designed more to, if they're in the lead, then you can shorten the game by running the ball, pounding the ball, and letting your backs do a lot of the dirty work for you.
And play good defense, and they have a good defense.
Right.
So that is one thing working in their favor. I think you're absolutely right on that. They're a team built to protect the lead, not to come back. So
Yeah. It was kind of Minnesota a couple of years ago when they had Adrian Peterson, and when they would get down, they basically have to take him out of the game because for all the running that he did, he couldn't help them get quick scores like that. So it was almost like, yeah, he's great when you have a lead because he can just milk the clock and make the other team burn their timeouts. But when you're trying to catch up, it's almost like he's not even on the team anymore.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last team in the NFC North would be those Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, head coach. Jared Goff coming into his third year as the starting quarterback. And Lord have mercy. Now, I will give them this credit. As much as this name always disturbs me and bothers me, his backup is none other than Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is the Josh McCown of this league. He gonna be around for a long, long time. And he does well just staying around as a backup, and then whenever the time presents itself, steps in as a temporary starter and things like that. As much as I got to see him firsthand in Carolina and was like, I'm good. Teddy continues to find teams. So look, if Teddy can do that again, back to the whole Baylor Zappy scenario, uh, Baylor, you should be able to do the exact same thing.
yeah, Zappa, he will absolutely land somewhere.
Right, absolutely. So Jared has been performing well under Dan Campbell. It was a great change of scenery, uh, just as much for him as it was for Matthew Stafford going out to LA. Um, and except for one Super Bowl that Stafford was able to get, um, I ain't really seen too much difference between the two guys.
Yeah.
But Jared looks a lot comfortable. The team seems to really rally around him and believe in him and everything like that. I believe that he and Teddy can work together in that quarterback room and figure out a lot of things. So I like this team, Rand. I'm not gonna lie. I like Jameer Gibbs as their running back with David Montgomery also as a running back. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who's been suspended for the first couple of games. But then you've got Marvin Jones Jr., another wide receiver, and then you got Sam Laporta and Brock Wright at the tight ends.
Detroit is built for it. They are built for it, man. Which sounds funny to say. We used to pick on this team for years, but they are here now. They have arrived. Like you saying, they got a nice 1-2 punch at the running back position. They got probably the best kept secret in the whole entire league at wide receiver, and Amon St. Brown. And Goff is coming off a career year. So, yeah, the Lions are looking really good on offense. And I like what they have on defense, too.
Yeah. And look at it this way. Jared Goff, 4,400 yards last year, to your point. St. Brown, 1,100 yards receiving. Goff threw for 29 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions.
Yep.
Not good. And he only took 23 sacks. So when I talk about Justin Fields taking 55 sacks, Jared Goff took only 23 of them.
Yeah.
I mean that's some good stuff. So they're definitely a team that's building. You know, when Dan Campbell came, they would lose a lot of close games, and you can tell when a team is starting to come around because they're starting to lose those games where if the ball bounced another way, they would win them, and then they'll learn how to finish those games off and stuff like that. This is a team that I believe won their last 8 games last year, so they really caught fire at the end of the season. And it doesn't necessarily mean that what you did at the end of one season translates into a new season. But these are a lot of the same guys returning. They're another year in the Dan Campbell's system. They'll run through a wall for this man. And I just really see this team, if they're going to have any opportunity to win the NFC North, it's this year.
And it will be this year.
And it will be this year. Green Bay, for the longest, has had the reins, and when it wasn't Green Bay, it was Minnesota, and Detroit and Chicago were always afterthoughts. Even to the point that Aaron Rodgers turned around and told Chicago, "I've owned you, and I always will." And then he went out there and backed it up for years. But now it is Detroit's opportunity to own that division this year, and that is why I'm picking the Detroit. I was about to say the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Lions to win the NFC North this year. And then I've got Minnesota in at second. I've got Green Bay in at third, and I've got Chicago in at fourth.
No need for me to even follow that up with any kind of breakdown. I have the exact same order. Detroit's defense is awesome. Campbell has went out and got him some dogs on defense that kind of mimic him and his personality. They got a middle linebacker, Jack Campbell. I wonder if they related. They also got my man Hutchinson out there. So yeah, I can't wait to see this team play on. They open up the season too Thursday night. National stage.
And you got Hutchinson on one side, you got Charles Harris on the other side. They do play a 4-3, so it's a lot of bodies up front. And they're going to try to put a lot of pressure on that on the quarterback and on that line to see how many people they can block to try to get to that quarterback. So it's going to be real interesting to see how that defense goes. And they do go hard on every play. So I met somebody the other day and they were from Detroit, and I was like, "Hey, this is y'all's year.
The suffering is over."
Suffering is over. So I mean, and then like I said, you've got a decent backup in Bridgewater. He can come in and perform sparingly at times. So you do have a little bit of a safety blanket. Looks like more than most teams have right now. So be excited to see what Detroit does. All right. Well, let's go on into the AFC North because I know this is your favorite division.
My boys.
Let's start with those old stinking doo-doos. You know, them brown, dirty Cleveland Browns. Led by Mr. Masagi himself, Deshaun Watson coming in with his fully guaranteed $235 million, backed up by somebody named Dorian Thompson Robinson. Nick Chubb in as the running back, Amari Cooper as the number one. Then you got Elijah Moore, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones. Anthony says, Adam Schefter said Mac Jones is the only quarterback on the Patriots roster. They will now have two quarterbacks on their practice squad after clearing waivers. Bailey Zappi, he's just quarterback. Bailey Zappi is signing with the practice squad. I don't understand that move.
I don't get that one at all.
Is it a salary issue, and then they're just trying to renegotiate a better rate with him?
Yeah, I don't understand that one.
Because when you cut a player, they do have to go through waivers. So you expose them. Normally, you put a player on the practice squad to protect them from that, because you don't want them to be exposed, because on waivers, then anybody can reach in and get them. So a lot of times you have players away on your practice squad. So that's very, very interesting. And they must have promised him something and said, hey,
they have to. Yeah.
If nobody gets you off of waivers, we're just doing this to make some accounting stuff work, or something like that. Or maybe they said, hey, we need to get the roster down to this number of people. So what we're going to do right now is cut you, hide you on the practice squad, and then on game days, activate you.
We'll call you up.
That's the only way I can see him doing it. Kind of playing a smoke and mirrors game. And because it's Belichick, I can't really put that past him.
Yeah.
Because no other scenario makes sense why you have somebody that's taking live NFL game snaps would agree to that unless you promised him something.
Have to.
Have to. Because it would make no other sense. It's like, wait a minute, why would you do that? But I know that a lot of teams may have said, you know what, we're a little heavy on our running backs, we're a little heavy on this. So trying to get up under that mandated number, okay, we got to make some serious cuts. We're still trying to figure out what this player is going to do, what that player is going to do. Hey, let's just cut Zappi right now, bring him back on the practice squad, and hide him so he's not on the active roster.
Yeah, I can see that now as you say that. Yeah, we'll cut it down to just one quarterback on the active roster. And meanwhile, we'll take a look at these 10 cornerbacks and see which 5 fit our team the best.
Right.
After we see that, then we'll take them off the practice squad and back on the active roster.
Exactly. Because we still got a whole week to shake it out and all that kind of stuff. Because there's just no other way. I got a good feeling that we'll see Zappi back on the active roster. Because, why would you bring him back on the practice squad?
But a lot of that still feels a lot like throwing pasta against the wall just to see what
is.
This late in the season for stuff like that kind of leans towards a bad football team, man.
Right. and why wait till a week before to start doing some mess like this? That's just crazy. Anthony also says Jonathan Taylor trade to Miami was dead after they wanted Waddle and Moore in the trade. Yeah, of course it was. So he's staying his butt in Indianapolis right now because as much as they like Jonathan Taylor, who in their right mind is going to give up Jalen Waddle? And he ain't even in his prime yet. I mean, at his peak of his
nobody.
I mean, come on.
I can't believe that was even asked.
Yeah. It's like you asking a question that you already know the answer to. It's like you just want me to answer it so I can get mad because I know and you know that I know that you already know the answer to it.
Yeah.
So you playing with me. Yeah, man. Your mama said they look at you talking about, you better stop playing with me.
Yo.
And you know, okay, I need to go ahead and back up because it's like she about ready to swing on me. Yeah, I mean, who in their right mind gonna sit there and say, "Oh yeah, we'll give you JT. Just go ahead and send Waddle on over here."
It's crazy that you even talk about it.
Like the fact that you could get that out your own lips
makes me laugh.
Right? Like you get to go, like what? Never mind. That's crazy. Well, the Browns ran. I'm gonna be honest with you. I honestly think that Deshaun Watson is going to have definitely a better year than last year. I mean, he was just coming back from a suspension. Jacoby Brissett did 2,600 yards. Deshaun Watson only had 1,100 yards. He threw 7 touchdowns, 5 picks in only 6 games. Jacoby played in 16 games, so Deshaun came in for some of those games, but he didn't really do a whole lot, so it's really hard to see last year. But hopefully, having a full off season, a full training camp, plenty of massages on his back. He should and he got to rub his legs and his inner thighs. I hear that really gets him going. Um, once you do that, I mean, hell, I'll be honest with you, it kind of gets me going too. The older I get, the higher you need to go up. But,
Oh man.
but yeah, just keeping it real. But but yeah, so it's really hard to tell from last year. But having that full season now to kind of get back into his own, if he returns back to his Houston playing form, he can definitely be an upgrade to this team. The problem is the other three teams in front of you have made a whole lot more moves that are going to impact their team more than yours.
You got that right. A lot of changes in the other three teams, and you're in a very tough division.
Mm-hmm.
And Watson, it's a big if he gets back to those Houston days. Right now in the preseason, and we had this talk last week, preseason is an evaluation process that does mean something. You
Right.
got to just know what you're looking for. He's been outperformed by the backup Dorian Thompson Robinson this preseason. So
Right.
it's going to be real interesting to see what Mr. Masagi does in the regular season.
And the sad part of it is that Cleveland, it's a self-inflicted wound, so I don't feel sorry for them at all. But
Nah,
if he
hell
falls,
no.
but if he falls on his face, are you really going to start Dorian Thompson Robinson ahead of your $235 million fully guaranteed quarterback that you
What a
can't?
mess. What a huge mess
That's
that would be.
crazy. If he doesn't return back to that Houston Texans form, what can you do? You can't even move him.
Can't even move that. Like all that guaranteed money and not performing well, who's gonna trade for it?
Right. Because if he puts up bad tape, you have no leverage.
Yeah. So,
And then who's going to take a chance that if you were going to take the rest of his contract, if you were another team, you would only do it presumably like the Jets did, thinking that this is the final piece to get us over the hump. But if he puts out bad tape, he ain't the final piece. Hey, Hippo, how you doing, baby? So if you put him out there like that and he ends up looking bad, well, I opened the show by calling them the doo-doos. It's gonna be a whole pile of doo-doo.
they have made the ultimate Browns move if this backfires.
They did.
Yeah.
They literally did crap their pants.
Yeah.
Doing that for no reason.
And Deshaun, here's the thing with Deshaun too. We were talking earlier in the show about quarterbacks who kind of care more about their legacy than their money. He's the exact opposite. He wants his money. He could give a damn about his legacy.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't take legacy to a strip club, I guess. So yeah, there you go. Except that you could get a table and say, "Y'all know who I am." Show me your hands. That kind of reminds me of like that movie Ray with Ray Charles, and he go around and he couldn't see, but he filled them hands so you can see how big they is.
Yeah.
He gonna be sitting at the table about.
Ooh, nice strong palms.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I believe after his career is over, he's gonna open up nail salons and everything. So it's gonna be interesting. Mr. Masagi. All right. So Cleveland Browns, that's your one team. The next team we're gonna take a look at will be the Cincinnati Bengals, who have Joe Burrow and Jake Browning in as quarterbacks. You got Joe Mixon coming back as the bell cow running back. Jamar Chase, of course, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. They've kept that triumvirate of receivers the entire time that Joe Burrow has been there. How cool is that to have that? Then you've got Irv Smith Jr. in as your tight end, or Orlando Brown as your left tackle, Jonah Williams in as your right tackle. Leo Collins, who's out right now, is also another right tackle. So they've got a lot up front to work with. This is a team that if you focus on one thing, they will kill you with three other things. at all times.
Yeah, man. I don't see this team taking a step back at all. I mean, that offense is still high powered, and the move that they did do that I really like is they went out and they got Orlando Brown from Kansas City to be the left tackle to protect Burrow to give him even more time to kill your ass. So,
And they're going
yeah,
to need that because the only blemish that I saw with Joe Burrow, he had 4,400 yards last year. He completed 68% of his passes. Um, he had 35 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. But the number that still bothers me more than anything is the number of sacks. He took 41 sacks
yeah,
last year. And in 2021, he took 51. So over the
yeah,
last 2 years, he's taken 92 sacks. You got to protect him. You just got
yes.
to protect him. That's the biggest thing. When he's upright, he can cause a whole lot of damage.
You
I'm
know,
looking.
90,
I'm sorry.
92 sacks over the last 2 years, right? Can
Mhm.
you imagine the damage this guy does if he has time?
Exactly.
Good God Almighty, man.
Exactly. Anthony says I saw some tape and clips. Orlando Brown was not helping Patrick. That was getting him hit a lot. Hmm.
Oh, you mean the left tackle Orlando Brown was not helping Patrick? I don't know. You know, Orlando Brown's still pretty. He grades out pretty well as far as the left tackle in this league. He's upper echelon. I mean, he's top 15, not the bottom 15. So I
Yeah.
think they upgraded by him, regardless of what he did with Patrick.
I do too. And the thing about a left tackle too, Anthony, I will say is all left tackles aren't good on certain teams only because of the demands of the quarterback. Mahomes is a guy that will hold on that ball sometimes because he's trying to find the perfect throw, even if it ends up being like an underhanded throw. Joe Burrow does get the ball out a little bit faster, so that should help Orlando be able to protect him more.
Yeah,
Uh, and Burrow's going to have to do a better job of getting it out even faster so he can avoid sacks and everything. Now, I will say he will take a sack versus trying to throw ill-advised pass in the coverage. So a lot of times he will take sacks, but a lot of those sacks that he takes, he doesn't even see them coming. He gets hit from his blind side. So that's where Orlando Brown should come in and kind of clean some of that up, hopefully.
as I'm looking through their roster right now, I see they were using Jackson Carman as the left tackle from last year to protect his blind side. That
Hmm.
line is so talented now with the moves that they've made that Jackson Carman is a backup on the right side.
Wow.
So, yeah, they've really cleaned that up, man.
Yeah, yeah, that should be really good. Between that and their defense, I think this team is definitely going to be the team to beat in the AFC North.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right, let's look at these dirty birds up in Bmore, who just signed their franchise quarterback to a new 5-year, $260 million deal, um, which would be one Lamar Jackson and very serviceable backup, which Baltimore had so many requests for trades for Tyler Huntley, and they said, "Ain't no way in the world we are getting rid of Tyler Huntley. He will be one of the highest paid backups that we have, but he ain't leaving Baltimore." And the reason is because
No.
year after year after year, as well as Lamar Jackson performs, he is the Michael Vick to me of the league right now, where when on field, he is dynamic. He is must see TV. Um, he is everything in a bag of chips. The problem is his sustainability is that he cannot finish a full season. Vic was that player. He dazzled, he razzled, he did all these crazy flips. He could air out the ball, but then he would get his ribs cracked when somebody would give him a nice little hit and things like that. And he couldn't finish a season. Couldn't do a 16-game season until we can see Lamar start a season and end the season and take his team into the postseason. Then we will see when Anthony's talking about. He was talking about people were talking about him being a potential MVP candidate again. I think the league has figured out Lamar to an extent, not to the point that you can just simply contain him, but you kind of know what he is and what he isn't.
Yeah.
Can you game plan with that? Absolutely, because you know that Lamar will take chances. you know you can bait him into a bad throw by playing some kind of disguised protections and stuff like that, where he doesn't see that coverage lurking out there. You can lure him into that. You know that he loves his safety blanket in Mark Andrews, and that's still going to be a safety blanket, even though he has upgraded receivers with Odell Beckham Jr. When last seen was on his way to be MVP of Super Bowl with the Rams. We'll see how much more Odell Beckham has in the tank. That is to be determined. Zay Flowers, a budding rising star as far as wide receivers. You got Rashad Bateman. Nelson Aguilar is behind him. Devin Duvernay is also another receiver. So I like the fact that they finally given Lamar more weapons, because the whole knock was is that receivers didn't want to play for Baltimore because they didn't think that Lamar could get them the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
I
what you
like
said
what you
about
about
Beckham
Beckham.
too. A lot of people see the name Odell Beckham and they be like, "Oh my God, the Ravens just picked up Odell Beckham," but you're not getting the Odell that was with the New York Giants, man.
Right.
Um, this we getting a far removed wide receiver from the New York Giants who's been
Right.
through surgery and he's got a lot of years on those legs.
Two
You're
surgeries.
not even getting the receiver that was with the Rams. So
Right.
we're gonna have to wait and see what Odell Beckham Jr. is with the Ravens. I
Hmm.
don't think it's an automatic. I really don't.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman, question mark. Zay Flowers, another question mark. So people say, "Oh, Lamar's finally surrounded with these weapons." Well, it's a wait and see from me.
Hey, Ashika, how you doing? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Time will tell, but um I expect there to be some time that it's going to take for him to get used to these receivers. He didn't do a lot in OTAs. He didn't do anything in OTAs. Um, he didn't do anything in preseason. So when you're working with receivers, it's all about timing. It's all about knowing where they like to catch the ball. They know how you throw the ball, tight spirals, whatever the case may be. Mark Andrews definitely knows you. But these other
Yeah.
guys, it's going to take a minute for them to catch on to that and understand where you need them to be in certain down and distance situations. So it's definitely not one of those things where you just flip a switch, line them up out there, and just hit the go button, and it just translates that way. It doesn't normally work that way.
Nah, and I'll give you another name on the defensive side. I believe the defense has taken a step back, by the way. But
Mhm.
I'll give you another name on the defensive side that a lot of people read and be like, "Oh my God, they picked up such and such." Jadeveon Clowney. You know, they're thinking, "Oh, Baltimore got this monster in Jadeveon Clowney." Stop it, man. He's not the same Clowney that was at what was the school he was at? I think Clemson.
Clemson,
Or yeah,
he
he's
was
not
like,
the same Jadeveon Clowney that came from Clemson. He's not. He's
nope.
not been that.
He ain't the dude that went to Houston.
No, he's not.
Nope. He ain't the dude that was in Cleveland, and he wasn't even that dude in Cleveland.
He was not even a threat in Cleveland.
Nope.
So
So yeah, and again, this is another one of those dudes though that chases the money, because remember all these times he kept wanting to change teams because they didn't want to pay him. But
yeah,
there were always issues about his motor. Um, when he's at 100% with his motor, he was very dominant in the day, but people always accused him of taking plays off.
hmm
Jermaine Parker says he was the same dude. True, but yeah, so he never had good technique. Right. That's exactly right.
that's exactly it.
He used his power to kind of overcompensate for what he didn't have. So when you don't have a lot of technique, it was kind of like the whole Cam Newton thing, because it was just so raw. It overstepped the fact that he didn't have good footwork.
Yep.
It overstepped the fact that he wasn't terribly accurate and he needed taller receivers because he couldn't be accurate with shorter receivers. Because he had that raw talent, you didn't really see that until you needed to see it. And then once you
Yeah.
saw it, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy needs a lot of work. Well, you ain't gonna take somebody who's been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years and then try to reteach them how to throw the ball, how to take a
No.
3-step drop, how to step up in the pocket, because they are who they are at that point.
And he is who he is.
Yes, who he is. So if you think you can bring in Jadeveon Clowney at this part of his career and try to make him be something that he hasn't been the last several years, then I tell you, Your weed man is gonna make a killing off of you. Um, I'll just say it. And the most important person on this team is still the one and the only ageless wonder, Mister. I can kick it from 65 yards, Justin Tucker.
That dude is not human, man. He's a mutant. They made him in a lab in Baltimore
You
somewhere.
you will never ever, when I break down the division, ever talk about anybody else's kicker ever for a reason. But you have to bring up Justin Tucker on this team because of what he has done over his career as far as game-winning uh, 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 field goal kicks, last-minute field goal kicks when you need that 60-yarder, and it's like, oh my God, it's 60 yards. You know, what's going to happen. But when it's Justin Tucker, you don't even really flinch when it's a 60-yarder with 3 seconds to go in the game and you only need a point. He's automatic. He
That
doesn't
dude
know
is
what pressure. He doesn't know what pressure is.
that dude. I don't know if he has a ring. I'd have to look that up. But that dude is future Hall of Famer, man.
No doubt.
No
No
question.
doubt. He shouldn't even have to wait to 5 years.
Yeah,
As soon as he hangs him up, here you go. Here's your
yeah,
jacket, bro. But I mean, he'll wait to 5 years, but I guarantee you, he'll get it on the first one.
yeah.
He ain't gonna be one of these dudes waiting 10, 15 years and have to be some kind of legacy guy to get in and all of that. No, he's gonna get in for sure. So there's still their secret weapon. I do believe Lamar should have a better year, but he's gonna have to prove it. They've given you the money, they have given you a few more weapons and everything. Now they need to see you lead this team somewhere. The
For
problem is,
17 games.
yeah, through 17 games. The problem is, man, you've got a very competitive division and you got to play these teams twice. So this is not going to be a cakewalk for you at all.
Hell no, not at all.
It is
No.
going to be crazy. And Rand, of course, last but not least, I'm trying to remember what team else in the AFC North have I not gone through yet?
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Oh, in case you didn't know, Rand is a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. uh, that is being quarterbacked by actually, you have Mike Tomlin again, a coach that has never had a losing season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is just something to say. Has only had 3 head coaches since the 1970s.
Since 1970, yeah.
That is nuts. So this is a team that is built on tradition, that is built on consistency. They don't rebuild, they reload. And they just always figure out a way, even when you don't expect a lot out of them, they end up coming to the party and just wrecking havoc. And now they have their second year starter in Kenny Pickett, backed up by one Mitch Trubisky, and still got old Ducky Mason Rudolph behind them as well. So it looks like
Yeah.
they are carrying 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're gonna carry those 3 quarterbacks, and they got 3 really good wide receivers, and Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. You better remember that name for fantasy, and
Mm,
Allen Robinson second.
mhm.
Offense looks really good. I like the moves that they made to improve the offensive line. I also like the move that they have at tight end. They have Pat Fryermuth, who's an up and coming tight end, but also behind him, they have a monster of a tight end coming out of Georgia named Darnell Washington. Those short passes will be eaten up by both of those tight ends that, when Pickens gets in trouble and can't see downfield. Pickett, not Pickens. I'm going to make that mistake all year long.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and and another thing that they've got coming up now pretty soon is you've got Najee Harris as your running back. He becomes a free agent in 2026. So this is the year where if he performs, they need to really start looking at an extension, not waiting until the last year. He did sign a 4-year deal, so that I guess that means they had got him in the second round.
Who we talking about? Talking
Najee,
about
Najee Harris, didn't he go
Najee was a first rounder.
his first rounder? How did he only
Yeah,
do a 4-year deal?
yeah.
I know that 5th year is an option. Because okay, that's his rookie deal. So 4th year, for sure. And then the fifth year is the option year. So he 2021, yeah, he's in his third year, right?
Yeah, and this is an important year for him.
An important year for him. It
He's
to
shown
me,
some flashes, but he's not shown that breakaway speed and breakaway ability yet. So
absolutely.
it's a big year for him. But that offense looks stacked for Pittsburgh. I
Yeah,
like what they've done. The defense, they also look stacked. They got Watt back, which is a huge move for them. He missed 7 games last year, and they still had a winning record without him. That
right.
just speaks to good coaching, man.
It does. And he is a force multiplier. When he is out there, that defense looks totally revamped. Totally
Changes everything.
he does. He is a game changer. So having him out there, keeping him healthy, definitely need to do that. Kenny Pickett last year only threw 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, took 27 sacks. Um, so he's definitely got to improve in that area. Now, he only started 13 games. Mitch Trubisky came in and played a lot of games as well and had 1,200 yards. But still, between the two of them, only passed for 11 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So they
Yeah,
definitely got to clean that up for sure. No Chase Claypool this year. Um, in a receiver. So that is going to change. But yeah, I do like Pickens. I do like Deontay Johnson with him another year. So we'll see how that goes.
yeah, they're looking strong on both offense and defense. I'm excited what Omar Khan, the new GM, has done. He's made a bunch of moves. So yeah, man, we're gonna see what happens this year, but I'm definitely excited about it.
Yeah,
But we get hit off.
Joey, Joey Porter Jr., Mika,
Yep.
woo,
Yeah.
Highsmith. Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a defense. That's going to be what keeps them in games, even when the offense is struggling out there a little bit. It's going to be that defense that's going to keep them in some games.
Definitely.
Well
Right
coached,
off the
well
bat,
coached team, well disciplined team, because that's what Mike Tomlin expects and demands.
the standard is the standard.
The standard is the standard. Yeah, love that man.
Yeah. Right off the bat, though, we're gonna be tested. It's San Francisco versus Pittsburgh, week 1. So we're gonna
Man,
find out what's up
see,
immediately.
this ain't like college football where you warm up with like the sisters of the floor. You
Nah.
playing a JV team or something like that. I mean, you start out with the heat.
Yeah.
Man, you start out with the heat. So yeah, that's gonna be a great. Is that a home game for the Steelers?
I don't know. I have to look that up. I think it is a home game. I hope it's a home game.
Tell you 2 seconds. That is versus San Francisco, so it's not at. So that's a home game.
Okay.
It's a 1 o'clock game too. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
That following week, they do get a Monday night football game, which is crazy because it's against the Doo-Doos. So you get an 8:15 game on September the 18th at home against the Browns.
That'll be good.
Sean gonna have a long day. I think we're gonna see Teddy Bridgewater in that game. Jesus Christ. Oh God. Between Highsmith and Porter and all them dudes coming after him. Yeah.
Panic.
Woo. Well, all right. So I've got in my order, I've got Cincinnati. I've got, and this can flip between Baltimore and Pittsburgh, but I've got Baltimore 2, Pittsburgh 3, the Doo-Doos 4.
Yep. The only difference I have is flipping Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and they are going to be super tight.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So
I got them going. I could go either way and wouldn't doubt it at all. And it could potentially come down to in division records, head to head, tiebreakers, that kind of thing in division, because I think they are really that close. Baltimore hasn't shown me enough for me to just crown them the number 2. Pittsburgh always overperforms to what you think or what you see on paper sometimes. And honestly, Cleveland just does not really do anything to instill anything in me other than it's just going to be the same old Browns.
same old Browns.
So definitely don't see a whole lot coming out of Cleveland. And that is just one of the tougher divisions. That's why I see when people talk about how many teams can come out of the AFC, and I'm like, well, you remember the only sure teams are going to be the 4 divisional winners. And then you've got to look at the wild cards. Well, if Cincinnati wins the division, now you've got Baltimore and Pittsburgh fighting for that wild card. But then you've also gotten the AFC North. If you're talking about the Jets or somebody else or Miami coming out of that division, then that's going to be hard to bring a wild card team. The only division you don't really have to worry about is the South. Jacksonville wins the South. You got that one. But and then the West is going to be crazy because you got KC and potentially the Rams. So
the Chargers.
Yeah, not the Rams, the Chargers. So that's a lot of teams fighting for 3 wild cards.
Yeah, the AFC is going to be an outright dog fight, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. Well, y'all, that is going to be our picks for the North teams. We will do the South next week. Y'all tune in because we'll do that show, and then the following day we'll have our first regular season game between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Keep up with us on all social media, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.
All right.